Yo, man, what do you mean you can't close that new townhouse you bought in Bancroft, man? I thought you were like loaded, bro. And wasn't it still under construction, Mr. Genius Investor?
I don't know. I think it was the mofo.
But like, seriously, bro, does Maggie know?
Don't you talk about her. Keep Maggie's name out of your mouth.
Whoa, 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 man, why don't you breathe or something? Maybe you should talk to that really cool realtor guy that convinced you to buy that townhouse, bro. What do you think of that, man?
Hello. In Rod we trust. How can I make your money mine today?
Hey, Mr. Rod. It's me. About that townhouse.
Who is this? Bad connection. Are you underwater or something?
All clear. All clear. Everything okay? Everything okay?
Can't hear you. Maybe I'm in a elevator?
That's strange. I'll try again.
It must be time for the Canadian Real Estate Show.
Darryl, how the heck did we get Tom to agree to that?
I know. It's like we're gonna ruin people's careers here on this show.
Squeaky clean reputation. Holy smokes, hanging around with a bunch of bandicoots like us.
Crazy. What a wonderful intro. And TK, everybody's gonna have to stay tuned to see how things play out for our friend a little bit later on
Very
in the
interesting
show.
ending to this one.
It will be funny. That I can guarantee you. TK, what a friggin' week this week was. Holy cow. I feel like I just woke up and like
you're always affected by the weeks more than me, you know. I'm just sort of,
how does that make any sense?
even
Why?
keel, you know. I just sort of I'm in the grass, you know, or I'm just kind of looking over, like, you know, what's going on out there.
Going
Okay,
on out there?
it's not safe.
No,
it's not
go
safe
back.
to go outside yet.
Go back.
Right?
Go back. Stay
Let's go back to my computer. Yeah.
Yeah, great week.
That's what it
Lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff to talk about. As you mentioned, great guest today. Once again, what is going on around here? TK, we're so close to 5,000 subs, man.
It's gonna happen.
Hit that button.
They can't stop us now.
Hit that button.
They're not gonna hold us back.
Yeah, don't hold us back. Hit the like, comment, say something, do something. Check out the Clips channel.
Even if it's like the down thumb button. Like, I don't know. I'm sure YouTube cares if people vote it down as well.
Yeah,
right?
they do it. It's negative. TK,
It's negative.
please,
okay, don't do that, guys. Don't do that.
Just stay in your lane, bro. All right.
Okay. All right. I'll go back to
we got so much to talk about, but Tom's like pretty in tune. So let's
get Tom on here.
Jump him in here. Right?
Let's get Tom on here. I want to find out what Tom has to say.
Okay.
We
perfect. What's
are
going on,
good.
guys?
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Fabioso.
Hold on. I gotta change my background. Darryl sent me a wallpaper.
No, this is good. Keep it how it is. It's perfect.
This is good.
Yeah,
all right,
it's great.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
classic.
Looks good.
Is that your new place, Tom? Is that where you are? You at home or?
No, I'm actually I'm at my cottage this weekend, and I don't trust the internet. So one of my good friends has a Remax office like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
But they turned this section to like a presentation center. So I'm like sitting in a model suite right now.
Oh, nice. Well, we
Beauty.
appreciate you grabbing the good internet because you know how important it is to have good audio and video for these things. This guy, okay, like, how do you have time for one channel, let alone two channels? First of all,
I don't.
But you
Don't
do,
forget all
like,
the news interviews. Like, he turns down 3 out of 4 news interviews, but
You're
he
on the
does
news.
still 1 out of 4. So that's a lot of commitment too.
You know, the actual answer, if you want like the real boring answer, is finding leverage for your time. And it's just that, like, it's not just me anymore, that there's a lot of people helping with things.
The Tom Storey team.
The team has been amazing. And for the podcast, truthfully, I just show up and talk. Steve does all the back end.
Yeah.
I'm just the guy that gets the guests, right? So I just show
Steve's
up and
your
talk,
Darryl.
and that's it.
How much?
Steve's my Darryl.
How much is nobody can be your Darryl, please. How much is he paying you to be on your show there, Tom?
Steve? Oh, a lot. I can't disclose it officially, but it's not a small
Send
number.
it in, yeah.
Did we ask last time he was here why the hell it's the Tom Storey show and not the Steve Karras show?
Yeah,
Explain those negotiations to us,
Yeah,
Tom.
what happened
I
there,
can tell you that in
Steve?
negotiations.
Yeah,
So
good one. Steve.
initially, the idea of the show, we didn't know what we were going to call it. It was going to be me, Steve, and Nolan every week. It was going to be the three of us.
Ooh.
And at that time, it was like either Nolan wanted to do way more than we wanted to do, or he couldn't commit. I forget what it was. So then it was like, okay, now it's me and Steve. Let's figure out what this is going to be. And then I was kind of on the edge of like, because we were talking about like, I don't have the time to do all these things anymore.
Yeah.
And I think Steve kind of knew, and he's like, well, why don't we call it the Tom Storey Show? And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
that works for me.
I think
Okay.
he knew what he
Okay.
wanted, and he knew how to get it, and he knew how to get me to commit. And looking back, I'm like, he set me up for it. But so at this point, though, it really is truly a 50-50 show. It's me and Steve every week, the same as you guys.
Well, you can't get out. That's for sure. Not with the name of the show, right?
Well, that's it. And Steve has always been clear that when he says something that gets us in trouble, it's going to be quoted as Steve of the Tom Storey Show. So I'm going to be dragged into
Genius.
anything he does. Yeah.
Very funny. You both have to worry about what your co-host is gonna do and say. How does that feel?
This is a very like great question to ask though, Tom. Is like,
Yeah.
when do you become known as Tom Storey, from Royal LePage, Tom Storey from, your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
or Tom Storey from the Tom Storey Show? Like,
It's interesting because
What are you now?
well, I hope I'm just Tom Storey from Royal LePage, because that's why
Definitely
I do
are,
everything,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been very clear about this. Like, I had no goals of becoming like a YouTuber. I was a business owner that saw YouTube as an opportunity to get my message out. And the big thing that I've always believed for any business is that visibility beats ability. So you obviously got to be good, but it doesn't matter if you're good if nobody knows. So
Right.
that's literally
Nice.
what social media was to me. But because I'm in, a big city like Toronto, and a lot of our viewership is from Toronto, people do stop me on the street sometime and say hi. And these days it's the podcast, which has been pretty cool. The podcast
From
seems
the
to be, I think people are
podcast.
really, I think there's like a wave right now of this long form that's
Mhm.
really kind of building. And I think people really like it.
I share
Right.
those sentiments. I'd
I-
love for people to tell me, hey, TK, you're that great real estate agent who dominates the market and you're just so damn good looking. But no, they're like, hey, you're the guy from the podcast, right? And yeah, I really like Darryl. He's the funny one. And I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah.
Nice to meet ya.
Anyways, listen, everybody's here to talk about real estate, including us. And there's a shit ton of real estate news going on. I don't even know where to start. Like, this list is insane. But I was out last night, and like, I don't care if you're middle class, upper middle class, lower class, on a street corner in a tent, like, you are feeling something looming right now. Like, and depending on the industry you're in, you could already be like seeing some pretty bad days already. And so, tensions are getting hotter. You see people fighting on the 401, and you guys know for sure, like, you're talking to people that are either in denial and in trouble currently, or about to be in trouble and kind of trying to get ahead of things. But there's a common theme right now that, like, like, maybe we should batten down the hatches, right? So like, what's going on in Tom Storey's world? Is everybody happy? Is everything good? Or are people like starting to freak out?
Yeah.
Before you answer, Tom, quickly, let's just all come to the conclusion right now that the market is trending downwards.
It
and
is.
that we're not here to pump the market in any way.
It is
that
trending
this,
downwards.
This market is 3 months of decline and, continuing on that pace as far as we all know. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would agree with that. So I'll give you two different answers. One for like an industry answer for real estate, and then a consumer answer based on the conversations I've been having. So I did I got hired. I do some public speaking stuff within the industry, and I got hired by a big brokerage to come in and do their kickoff event last week. And I asked the room, and this was a room of like some pretty big name real estate agents that you guys would know. And I'm like, how's everyone feeling right now? Like, is anyone happy with their year? Just like, give me a hands up if you're happy. Not one person. And everyone was like, we're not feeling good right now. It's not going. That's not to say they're not doing any sales, right? It's just like they're not at what they're used to. So I looked back and I ran the numbers till the end of August for the first 8 months of the year. And so I pretty much trade in the 416 area code. So I just did 416. So in the 416 area code in 2021, for the first 8 months, we had over 30,000 transactions. Okay. Which was insane.
Busiest year we ever had.
Crazy year.
Yeah.
Last year, 2022, by end of August, we had 22,000 sales. So, okay, big drop off, which made sense from the year before. This year, so far, we're at 17,000. So easy. We're 40% down from 2021, and we are 15% down from last year. So like the math is pretty simple. If you're someone in the real estate industry that sells real estate for a living, the opportunities to do so are less and less than they've been from what you were used to.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are feeling it. People are having really, really tough years because also, TK, maybe you're seeing this in the team model. I'm having weekly conversations with people that want to join our team, but it's more of like a, can you save me because I don't know what to do?
Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change anywhere in Ontario? Guess what? We're hiring. Franklin Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all RE/MAX teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Franklin Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
So
people
there
who
will
were
be
successful at one point.
Yeah.
And now this year they're not having the year that they thought they would, right?
And not to sound like I want
More
people
successful.
to succeed. Yeah, I want people to succeed. But, you know, a cleanse of the real estate industry is probably not the worst thing, right? It's like, let's just get the people in here that actually know what they're doing and give good advice and aren't just running around hoping that the market's good. Like, that's not what we need.
No.
We've had some pretty sharp people join recently. Yeah. So, which is great for the team model is you're not just pulling in somebody in their first year, you're pulling in someone with 10 years and however many transactions and all this experience. And they just couldn't, get it together the last 18 months or whatever. And so they're realizing I better do something different.
And then on top of that, with everything else, like I had a chat with a real estate agent yesterday when I was driving, and he was like, I'm at this crossroads of my business and I'm doing pretty well, but I'm looking and I'm like, I thought I made good money, but I'm looking at my bank and I'm like, where do they all go? Right. And it was interesting because I was like, okay, well, let's do your business expenses. But what we figured out, it was his life expenses. It was his mortgage. In the last 2 weeks, I'm a YouTube premium guy for life. That went up $1 per month. My Disney went up $1 per month. Something else went up $1 per month. My brokerage fees, this sounds silly, went up $3 per month.
Criminal.
No, but it's all one thing after the other, one on top of the other, on top of the other. And for a decent amount of time now, it's been just kind of compounding on itself. You said something that I think is exactly the issue. You said it's not at the level that they're used to, right? And not only is it currently not, but they're forecasting out that it's going to get worse than it is now. And people are like, I can kind of hang on now, but if it gets worse, man, this is going to really like not be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't even understand. So TK, you said you brought over some good guys, and Tom, you're saying that, you know, some people that have had some success are kind of looking for a place to go now. But like, then there's just more of you in one room that are all going like, this sucks. There's nothing to do. Like, can we split that one? Like, what the hell does the team do when there's still the same? In a room
full of real estate agents discussing leads before.
No, but seriously, like, there's not any more sales to get.
No, but getting a piece of one is better than getting nothing, right? And I've said this for a long time. We talk about disruptors in the industry, and you talk about these new tech platforms or whatever. The biggest disruptor in the real estate industry the last 10 years has been TK's team. Not specifically you, but that model. because you guys have way more budget behind you, way more marketing. You have more administrative staff. So you can just focus on doing your job. People that are going up against you guys and versions of you guys, you know, across the country.
There's a bunch of them in the last few years that are.
It's tough
major,
to beat to get the market share from the teams that have that, you know, type of army behind them.
Yeah. And that's where it's going. So we had a number out before, and I don't know what this is, but I'll just give an example. Is 10 years, no, when I first started, so 15 years ago, nobody was doing a team. Like if there was a team, it was just a guy and he had an assistant and that was it. And then about 10 years ago, teams came up and it was like 5% of the business, you know, like it was just like they just started to come around and maybe they'd be the top in their market or whatever, right? But now that number, again, I'm making this up totally, it would be like 20% of the business is now in the hands of the big, large mega teams. And I believe that that number will continue to grow. There's going to be more and more mega teams coming and growing and taking over market share. And people will realize, the consumer will say, why would I hire my cousin Jim, who's going to be doing it all, who doesn't have the marketing, who doesn't have the admin staff, who doesn't have the services, who doesn't have the experience. He's only selling 30 houses a year, as opposed to a team who could be doing 300, 600, 1,000. Some of them are doing crazy numbers. So,
and Darryl, just for you and people listening that are like, what's the difference to me as a consumer, right? They have someone specifically for everything. They have in-house staging, they have in-house marketing, and it actually is probably a better experience, right? Because things are being taken care of for you. And at the end of the day, real estate is also an extremely lonely business. And it's sometimes nice to talk to other people at the office instead of just sitting.
Right. That's what I was getting at, is it's like a more comfortable scenario to go through this. But okay, so
just correction here, just before we move on. One agent can do the same job as a team. One agent can, but they can only do it for one client at a time. Right. Which means by the end of the year, they've sold 10 houses. And how much experience does that agent have after only selling 10 houses in the last year? And they do that every year at that level of service, compared to a team selling hundreds, doing the same service, right? So now you have this experience factor. You're going to get more, your finger will be on the pulse. You're going to get better advice. You're going to have a much better experience because now you got someone who's really in tune with what's going on.
Right. Okay. So listen, the market's going down, but the prices are still ridiculous. Young people don't have a hope in hell at even renting a place, quite honestly. Immigrants, I don't know how they get a place to live at all, because, I mean, who's letting them rent a place? They have no credit. They have no history. They may not even have a job. Like, so again, it's like there's uneasiness, and you see now the government is reacting to things in the last week. They're recognizing that there's an issue and people are mad because they're starting to throw things out there. I think some of it is in response to, like, even Trudeau now has woke up and gone, oh geez, like houses aren't affordable right now. We better try and do something, because, you know, young Canadians need to live somewhere too, right? But like, you're helping these people. And when you do the math, like, the math doesn't work anymore in Toronto unless somebody is giving you a giant sum of money, right? Because how in the world does a 25-year-old person making even 80 grand a year end up with like a decent place that's not 400 square feet somewhere?
They don't.
Right. And so, like, you see all these videos of these younger kids going like, what's the point anymore? I make more money than I've ever made, and I'm broker than I've ever been. I can barely even make ends meet. Or I saw this woman, she's like, I make $34 an hour and I can't even make ends meet. So how the hell is this going to play out soon?
Did you see the thing about like the mayor of the small town that couldn't afford to buy a property?
Yeah, we talked about
that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's crazy. And I agree. So she's 28. She lives at home, right? I think she made 90 grand or something on the mayor's salary. She also said in the article she was only looking at detached properties.
Right.
So what it should have said is 28-year-old that lives at home, who happens to be the mayor, can't afford a detached property as their first home. But that's not going to get any clicks, right? And I'm not trying to say what Darryl's saying isn't 100% right. It's just like we're only hearing the TikToks that blow up.
Mayor?
The mayor became the highlight there.
No, but hold on. I think the thing to highlight is the fact that 90 grand doesn't get you any kind of life at all in this city anymore.
But it could probably buy her, again, I don't know her town. It probably could have bought her an entry-level condo easily.
Right. Because
But
that's what
if you
everybody
read
dreams
into
of,
it-
right?
well,
When they're growing up,
So
it's like,
then
I hope
adjust
I
your
can have like
expectations.
I hope
You
I
know,
can
she's
have
the
a
mayor. She's not a
futon,
judge. Come
right?
on.
Turns into a bed. I hope I can get one of those. That'll
She got
be
elected because she was
fucking
popular.
cool.
So
right?
so what do you think? What do you think happens now? Because
Okay.
even if all the greenbelt stuff, let's say we build on all of it, it's not affordable housing, right? That doesn't really solve anything. It brings more inventory, which would be good for overall prices, but they're not building homes to sell for cheap, right?
No, and none of the things.
It might just create a ceiling on pricing where
Yeah.
we don't have any major increases
Hang
for the
on.
next 10 years, and that it just kind of slowly goes up, as opposed to what people think, which is, oh well, maybe it's going to drop down to back 2016 levels. No, those developers aren't going to sell it for
Probably
any
won't.
cheaper
No, but
than
you're
what they
also
can get in the market.
But you don't just go like that, and then there's a bunch of inventory to balance things out. Like
Well,
this
we're
is going to
pretending
take.
right now, Darryl. We're
I
pretending.
know,
Okay.
but so is the government, or I don't know what's going on. Because who in their right mind goes, okay, even this new HST or GST thing, I don't know which one it is. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff.
It's for rental buildings, purpose-built
No, but
rentals.
that's great, because I mean, where are
It's a
all these
start.
people supposed to live? I mean, we need rental
Yeah.
buildings. This is a wonderful start. But again, it's like the inventory won't come online for, I don't know, 4 years. They're going to fast track some of this stuff. Maybe it's
It's
4
like
years.
2035, they have to at the latest be built.
20.
Daryl,
It's crazy. Yeah.
can I say something that you're probably not going to expect from me?
Yes.
I don't think there's an inventory issue.
No.
I think there is an affordable inventory
inventory
issue or an inventory issue for what people want.
I just tweeted that exact sentence. I swear to God, that's exactly what it is. It's not inventory, because we had Jordan on last week, and he proved to us that there's
I got lots of condos
inventory
for sale right now. If anybody wants one, I got inventory.
Yeah, there's inventory for sale. But the people that want to buy, the demand that is flooding the market, they can't afford the stuff that's for sale. And the stuff that's for sale is like these middle tier people that got in too deep that need to sell now. And everybody's going to go, uh-oh, like we should probably sell now. But there's no one that can afford their houses here. But that's the fucking crazy thing, is there are people that can afford their houses here. And you guys are doing the deals every day. Who's coming in with this money and with a 6% interest rate and able to close now? Like how, but it's happening even 17,000 times is like a lot.
I can tell you, like in the million plus market, because we help a lot of people trade up right now. We're selling their condos and then helping them buy like a semi or something, or some detached homes. We don't have any clients that it's like, this is my first purchase. I have 20% saved, even if they were able to do it, and they're buying a house for 1.4 with 20% down. Usually they have much more than 20% down, because they bought the condo 6 years ago, right? It's the appreciation and equity that they built over time. And then frankly, and like, this isn't like news, lots of our clients get help from parents. Lots.
That's what you have to have. And
the only way.
Right. And it's because you're concentrated in Toronto that it's lots of your clients, but not everybody. I mean, the percentage of people that actually do get help from their parents is not that big. Like,
but let's just kind of like lay out the land here. Okay. So why are you living in Toronto? Like, why, if you're a young person and you're like, oh, I'm looking for this great house and all that kind of stuff.
I have the right to live here.
Move to like some other city in Canada and get out. No, but all my friends and family are here.
I have the right to live here.
In Toronto. So therefore, the chances, the odds of you being in that position financially, that socioeconomic status that you have, means that you probably come from the average middle-class family, which means that your parents are baby boomers and they got money and that they've done well and that they've seen the opportunities that they've realized from the market. And that's why I believe it's way higher than any number we could ever prove on paper that says parents are helping more often than not, because there's so many silent deals. I mentioned it to one guy the other day, and he was like, he didn't want to tell me because he didn't want his kids to feel like they were like being like coddled. But I knew right away, just explaining the story, I was like, you have helped these kids, and they're my age, they're like late 30s. They're definitely 100% being helped by the parents. So there's a ton of people who are not disclosing the fact that they're helping their kids. And if you're living in Toronto right now, the odds are your parents also live here. And if your parents also live here and you've grown up here, the odds are that they have got a ton of equity in their home. They probably have paid off their home and that they are in the position to help you. So that's why it's something that Otherwise, if you're just not in that position, you know, you're a new immigrant, right? You came from, you know, maybe a family where, you know, they were struggling, so they didn't have a place to own or something like that. Different life challenges, those exist too. Or you're a Canadian, but your parents live somewhere else. And you can make the decision to go somewhere else because you don't have those roots here. Maybe you grew up in another part of Canada or something like that. So that's why I think the Toronto people who are hell bent on living in Toronto have got more help from parents than the typical average profile that we can come up in our head.
Well, because if it's the same timeline, right, and you grew up in Toronto or in Edmonton, and your parents bought a property in one of those two places at the same time, the people in Toronto just have more money because the properties went up and Edmonton went like this, right?
Yeah.
Like Darryl,
They live the same lifestyle.
Darryl, if you left the GTA and you couldn't leave Canada, where would you go?
Saskatchewan.
Why Saskatchewan?
Because it's $300,000 for a nice big property with a house on it.
Okay.
Because if I'm leaving Toronto, it's not to go somewhere that I'm dreaming of. It's to get the fuck out of this crazy place because I'm sick of working so hard for the same thing that's over there. Right?
Can you do what you do over there?
I can do what I do everywhere. I'm a wizard, bro. No, but seriously, anybody can do what they do anywhere.
Have you seen our skits, Tom?
Yeah,
Have you seen the quality of the skits that we're
No,
I heard
he had-
there's a new actor that's pretty good, but I haven't seen them yet.
I don't know
he's
how the
really
hell we
good.
convinced that guy to get involved. I don't know.
It's probably going to ruin
He's
his
going to be
career.
full of
It will.
regret.
It did. You just don't know it yet because it was at the
13
beginning
hours.
of the show. But seriously, like I talk on the show all the time that I want to get the hell out of here, that it's too expensive. And it's not like I'm broke or anything, right? Like I can afford to live here, but it's like I work really hard for this money. Why the hell do I want to just all of a sudden pay like 30% more for my mortgage, right? Like the house didn't get any better. If anything, the house is getting worse over time, right? So the house is getting worse, the market's going down, right? And I got to pay more for this thing and work harder because, hey, guess what? Now I got to figure out how to fucking afford everything for my kids too, right? Right. Wow. And if you're my age, like the parents' health is going down. So now you got to start figuring out what the hell's going on with that. And it's all gone up so much lately. It is insane. And so if you are starting out, like, I don't remember feeling like it was such a crazy, insurmountable climb, right? I remember going 6 figures, bro. That's all I need. If I hit those 6 figures, we're grooving. Anything over that is gravy. And I mean, I'm a little older than you guys, but like if you hit 6 figures when you were like in your late 20s, mid 20s, when I was that age, you were fucking rocking and rolling, right? You had everything and some savings, right? And now if you make 150 grand, good luck saving a penny, or I don't know where the hell you're living.
Yeah, not in Toronto.
No, not if you're starting out, TK. Forget about having
let me
equity.
just hold on here.
This
This is your I'm Mr. Responsible over here. So
yeah.
The example Tom gave earlier about talking to an agent whose life expenses has gotten out of hand, right? He made a commitment. I don't know what the total was, but he's obviously living beyond his means.
Most
right?
people are.
If
anyway.
you have $150,000 income, okay, and you go and rent an apartment for $2,500 a month, okay, and so you're in 30 grand a year. How are you not living a comfortable life with 150K income? Oh, you decided to buy a $800,000 home, and you decided to, drive $1,000 a month car, and oh, you decided to go on these vacations because you felt like making that much money, you were entitled to do that. Now you got an issue. But like $150,000 is a lot of money to live on. There are people listening right now who are living on half of that, doing just fine.
Where?
So it's in Toronto, because they are responsible, and their lifestyle meets what they're able to maintain. So they're living within their means. It's an amazing concept. You should try.
I wonder, like, if everyone
what
was
the
forced,
fuck is that?
I'm
if
telling
everyone
you.
was forced to give up what they had now to downscale, right? Which might be coming. Who knows?
I hope
Right?
so.
Might not have any choice.
Better be
I hope people
coming.
Well, you put
smarten
that,
up, even if it's the
car
next
on
generation.
Leasebusters, you trade down your house and you buy something smaller. People could do it and still survive, but they wouldn't like the outcome.
Right. I've had one car since the pandemic, because we didn't even need one car during the pandemic, and we've been trying to juggle it since. But like, It is so ridiculous now because life went back to normal now. That's a whole other story we can talk about. You want to segue into life going back into like lockdown mode at all? You want to touch on that a bit? Because
Yeah.
it's happening. I mean, let's be realistic. And it's kind of sad because it literally just felt like it was really back to normal. But like masks are out in full force. You see Dr. Tam?
I did, yes.
Yeah, you see Dr. Tam talking about the use of masks and how we should all have a habit already formed. Because, right? What's next? What's going to be next? Think about this.
Mm-hmm. I got a story to tell first before we get into any of that stuff. So, yeah, I know.
All right.
So there's a property I sold, Tom, in Whitby. Okay.
Yep.
Now this was a nursing home. It was around since the 60s. They had, you know, and some additions built, stuff like that. It was like 80,000 square feet, 130 beds, like big establishment. During COVID, they had about 40 people die. So the ministry came and shut them down. Because they were old, like the building was old. It was one of those places, and it got in there, and it just, you know, a lot of people died. They're all older and vulnerable. And so the ministry took over. They were at the end. There was no more licensing. There was nothing they could do with this building. So they came to us to sell the property. So about a year and change ago, maybe now or more, they came to us. We sold the property. We had a bunch of bids from builders, land developers, people, and everything else. And this one company came in and they overbid everybody and paid like a crazy price. And we were all very happy. And everyone was like amazing. At the time, the region had called me after it was conditional during the due diligence period. Durham region called me and said, "Hey, we're going to look at doing a homeless shelter there. Like, can you find out if a deal falls through, let us know, or if they're willing to rent to us, let us know." So I was like, all right, well, I'll let you know. Deal didn't fall through, went firm, closed it. Everything was fine. So about a week ago, a guy calls me and he goes, he's a realtor. I know him. He's a Durham realtor. He says, "Oh, did you hear about the nursing home? They sold it to the region. It's going to be a homeless shelter. We're now going to have this homeless shelter in our community. It's crazy. Like, what the hell's going on?" And I was just like, well, how much did they sell it for? And it was $5.7 million more than they bought it off of us for. And the guy who's a really big developer who bought it, who owns tons of hotels and stuff like that, basically said, I talked to his agent, "Screw you. We got it. We're going to turn it into something amazing. We're going to make a ton of money. And if you want it from us, this is our price." And the region had just got money from the province, and the province was giving out money for homeless shelters. And they have now paid $13.7 million to house 40 people in a building that holds 150.
Yeah. This is who we're leaving our lives.
This
like,
is the strategy
right?
that they've decided. It's all over the news. You can look it up. It's CBC, everything like that. So all this is information that's out there.
Did they assign your contract, or they closed?
No, they closed, and like it was almost like 8 months later. Like, it was like legit at the end of the day, right? A real kick in the teeth when you think about it. But I talked to the client. I called them right away. They were all just like, "We don't give a shit."
It's commercial, so there's no speculation tax on that.
We've moved on. Yeah. They were like, "We've moved on. Like, this is great." They did really well, right? They were really happy. But the main thing was just like, that's what the region does when you've got. So what do we learn here? We buy properties that the government wants and we sell them back to the government.
That's what I did. I called TK right away and I was like, "TK, like, let's call that guy and see if we can find him another deal." But
this is what it is. So these are the things. So again, back to COVID things, things got shut down. There was a lot of issues. Not good enough for the elderly, but the homeless, yeah, we can put the homeless in there. No big deal. Just the homeless.
Right.
Right.
But okay. So do you think that it's going to happen again? And do you think that we're going to have to deal with this? Or do you think that
again? No way. No one's buying into this crap.
Nobody's buying into it. Right.
No.
I think
God,
even if it was legit this
crazy.
time, not to say this time, I'm not going down that road, but even if it was legit, I think people are so fed up.
Yeah.
That they just wouldn't acknowledge it.
Take my chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's
remember the fear mongering from Italy and Spain and all these places. Like, we were all sitting at home going like, I'm gonna like wipe my hands clean after I get gas. Like, that was a pretty intense point in time. So that there was a lot of things happening at that time that made us a little bit more susceptible.
What about the older
Nowadays,
people
everyone
that
can
were
just do
like
that.
brainwashed and went mental from all this? You don't think that they're like got their box of masks ready to go and they're
Yes.
like ready to lock down
Yes.
when they tell
A
them
few
to?
people, but
So,
not.
so what's going to happen? Like all the middle kind of 50, 30-year-olds are going to revolt and say, yeah, fuck you. I'm going to go wherever I want. And
Yes.
that's it.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can
And
you
no
imagine?
businesses will close down, and it'll just
Nobody's
be like
closing.
we're open for
And,
business.
and then the government won't behave the way they did last time. Like they forced people to close last time. Do you remember? Like at the beginning, that guy with
Yeah,
the
but
pizza restaurant or the
last time
wing
was
place?
the 1 in 100-year event. If it happens twice in 5 years, I think the outcome will be different.
Yeah.
The outcome will
And-
be different.
Yeah.
So let's say, like, let's play this. What goes on in Daryl's mind. Let's say
Yeah.
this happens.
Save
right?
me. Yeah.
I want your mind to be studied one day.
Hopefully,
Do-
while you're still alive.
Fake and phony law services. How may I help you? I'm just asking for a friend, but what would happen if the house caught on fire during construction? Would the buyer still be responsible to close? Hold, please.
How may I assist?
My friend, Julian had this situation. And there was this fire.
Okay, can you elaborate on this situation?
Electrical fire?
That's a gold mine. Insurance? Lawsuits against God? Politicians? Tell me more.
Thank you, Mr. Lawyer. I just had a brilliant idea.
Please subscribe and
Do interest rates come down really fast, rapidly, if we're all locked up again? And then do housing prices rip? Like,
Yeah.
I hope not.
Well, okay, fine. But what are prices going to do with the pause? Like, what does this pause do? Like, let's even think about reality again for a second. We've just paused, right? We've added all these things into the mix now with, $3 for London, Ontario to build 2,000 houses, and HST or GST, and like definitely some planning stuff is happening right now that are gonna add more units quicker to the mix. What does happen in the next little while, right? Like what does happen? We just paused. Last time we paused, everybody went mental and started buying real estate again, like it was going out of style. So let's say we learned our lesson this time and nothing happens. CPI is going up in the States and here, right? And so even interest rates holding will push CPI up because all those mortgages like that are affected in CPI haven't hit the CPI yet, and gas prices are going up. And now Trudeau's like pointing the finger at the grocery stores fucking finally, because those prices are just going up and up and up. So like where's the relief, and what actually happens next? What doesn't force them to drop rates soon? Like how can this keep going? Like something has to give. And it doesn't seem like prices are just going to crater all of a sudden, because there is the demand there for the houses.
Did you did you see any of the interview we did with the insolvency trustee? That we did on our channel?
Bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what we were trying to get at with him is like, is housing the issue or is it the solution? And it was like a 50-50 answer on both sides, depending on the person. But what he was saying is like, it's normally they try to start their own business, they fail, they're personally guaranteeing a certain percentage of that business. And then he's like, then it goes all on credit cards at 22%. And then they got a car they didn't need at a ridiculous, car loan.
Yeah.
And then it forces them to sell the house. Right. So I just wonder, like, at what point are people I'm not saying it's the failed business necessarily, but just the expense part where it's like, okay, I got to figure this out, then this out, this out. And you're seeing it right now. Like the condo inventory coming to the market, it's a lot of investors trying to liquidate.
Right.
That's
What's
no,
the
that's
scenarios that you're seeing? Like when you say investors liquidate, like they bought them recently, they bought them pre-con 10 years ago. What are you seeing?
most of them aren't recent purchases. Those guys are still hanging on.
They're hanging on
because
this is
they got the
word.
long thing. But it's the I bought this 6 years ago. I got a variable rate. I'm losing $2,000 a month now. It's in rent control. I can't do anything. The tenant's a nice person, but like I have to sell this.
Yeah, I
Right.
can't hang on to this thing anymore. It doesn't make sense. This is the problem.
And if you really look at the Toronto condo market from like March 2020 until now, prices haven't changed that much. They went down, then back up, then down, then back up. And they're kind of like, so I'm listing a lot of condos now from people that purchased them in 2020, like early 2020. They're kind of worth what they paid for them. But if you bought freehold property in 2020 or 2021, it's still, even though we've had the drop off, it's still worth a lot more. But that's not the same for condos.
Insight. Yeah. And so we've been getting calls from people now. There's couple projects that are closing soon, so people are looking at assigning, and I'm looking at some of the deals just to see if there's any if there's any help that you can give these people, and the answer is no. But like even 2018 condos that were sold, some of them still aren't worth what the people paid.
Pre-con?
Yeah.
2018.
Even some of the 2018 ones where they were paying a premium at that time for that unit.
Yeah, they were probably what 2018 was like $1,200 a square foot, maybe, depending on where it is. Downtown.
13
downtown. Yeah.
13. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like peak, 2018. It was like the newest project. And like I'm just looking, I'm going, wow, 2018. So, but that what you just explained made sense. Is it wasn't 5 years of growth since then. It was only 2 years of growth, and now it's plateaued. It went up and down, and here we are. And now it's coming up to close, and these people need to find a solution, right?
I mean, the solution is sell it for less than you bought it for if it's pre-con, because, I mean, the assignment market is not moving.
No. The bottom line is you're forced to close, or lose your deposit or more, or whatever.
Yeah. So how many people are like trying to get rid of the assignment, know that they definitely can't close, and are in a situation where the only way to deal with this is to close? How do you close?
Most of them still can. Like I can tell you from having my main YouTube channel, I get a lot of people calling me, and one of the conversations I've had the last basically all this year is like, Tom, can you help me assign my condo unit? And I'm like, not if you want to sell it for a profit.
Yeah.
And at my conversation with all of them was like, close on it. Do everything you can to close on it, because you're going to take a big loss if you sell this right now. And not just that, it's gonna be very difficult to even find a buyer.
Yeah. So, but don't
and
people
you can't advertise
want to do that?
Like,
no, but don't people want to do everything they can to close on it before they give up?
But they're going to be negative cash flow, like so much. Like most of them, it's private money, because even the appraised value is going to be lower. They got to cover that shortfall. Then they've only got 20% down in the initial purchase price. So like, there's not much other equity there. Then it's how much is the rent? No, rents are helping people out, I'm sure. Like, what are your scenarios right now? Like, are rents not like bailing some of these condo investors out?
Some of them, but not all, because if they had a variable, the rate's gone up so much higher than the rent that it's not getting anywhere close. Like still, like if you bought in 2018 for $1,300 a square foot, at the time, what was an interest rate in 2018? 3%? I don't know. You're probably banking on that. Now it's 5.5 when you close on it, or 6. Yeah, the rents have come up, but you also overpaid at the time for that property, hoping it was gonna be worth that or more when you closed on it, and it's not.
And it was negative cash flow. Like you knew it was going to be 500 to 800.
Everyone buying those was buying as a speculation, right? Like no one thought they were going to cash flow from day one with 20% down. And if they thought that, they didn't do their research.
No, they did their research.
The rents are not bailing out the pre-con guys, but what about the guys who are resale? So like they've owned the unit for a while. They're now like, like the best are these no rent control buildings. If you got no rent control, then every year you get to try to, like, you had a 23% increase in your rent.
So that's the thing. And that's the buildings after November 15th, 2018. If they were completed, renters need to know this, because they're going to be shocked when they get their rent increase. But you know what else falls in this category? The thing that we've all said we need so bad, and we're building more of it, is those purpose-built rentals that are owned by RioCan or some corporation or whatever. I have a team member that lives in one of those. She's got her 3rd rent increase, and it's gone up $1,000 in 3 years.
Yeah.
So I know they're helping the solution here, but like, you're not winning anyway here. And the example that I gave of like, I've never sold so many properties this year that were tenanted. Right. And TK, you know, selling tenant properties is much more difficult than selling an owner occupied or a unit that I can stage and make look really, there's
100%.
all these different variables, right? That go around it. The buyer has to move in if they don't want to sign the N11. There's all these different things. But at the end of the day, I'm selling a unit that's currently helping someone rent. And because of the rules around it, I can only really, for the most part, sell it to someone that's saying that they're going to move into the property and live there for a year. Right, with the N12, unless they're willing to sign an N11. So what I'm doing is I'm selling a property that was a rental and I'm giving it to an end user because no investors are buying the resale condos right now. So it's actually making it worse down the, like, for everything that's happened since the beginning of 2020, who's actually gotten it the worst? Renters.
Renters. I think landlords, to be honest with you. I mean, tenants too. Renters too.
No one feels bad for the landlord.
Yeah,
though.
but
no one
you
feels. Yeah, but some of them
Especially
are
if
like
they've been in the
really
market
good
for a
people.
while.
No, but
They'll make up for that with their appreciation and stuff.
Oh, but
It's
come
the-
on. There's
the
good people that
novice
got into good
investors
deals that
who
all of a
bought.
sudden. No, it's not only novice investors. There was bullshit going on in the market, man. People got manipulated and made bets based on the recommendations of the government or Bank of Canada. Like, that's separate. Like, but people listen to their forward guidance because we're all supposed to like listen to that at certain points in time, apparently. And so people made bets, even in businesses with loans based on the prime rate, that the loan would be cheaper for longer, right? And so all kinds of people got bamboozled or their timing got fucked up because they didn't have extra time. And yes, people will say, yeah, you're stupid for listening and you got to make sure and blah, blah, blah. But like, things have changed so drastically. No one ever could have seen this coming. People thought like 200 basis points was insanity. We got 450, and it's not done yet. There's no fucking way they can be done yet. Unless something crazy happens, they can't cut rates because CPI is still growing and there's nothing to stop it, right? There's nothing to stop CPI from growing on the current trajectory. They didn't do anything. If anything, they're throwing more free money out there and just disguising it as other things, right? Or tax breaks and stuff. Like, so what happens with the shortfall? We talked about that once on the show when TK, I think, brought up this HST. Like, you keep giving all these subsidies and tax breaks and everything. We're already behind. The government's like bankrupt already. So what happens? You print more money. And what happens when you print more money? Inflation. Right. So if we're stuck in this inflation loop and we think that rates are going to come down and the good days are here again, like, things are going to get worse is, I think, the reality. And who knows how bad they get. Like, because it's not, like you said, it's not an inventory problem. Even the biggest inventory or supply versus demand buffs are now going like, shit, there actually is some inventory and nobody's buying it because it's shit. Right. And overpriced shit. Right. So like, the end is nowhere close to in sight. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And that doesn't mean that the market doesn't like rebound, because it's fucking not even close to tied to reality in any way here. Is it?
Well, if it was, it wouldn't perform the way that it has. Like, if it was just tied to income, which is the argument that you see most of the times in the YouTube comments, I agree with that. It shouldn't be doing what it's doing.
Right.
Right. But a lot of people have chunks of money. They're not me, but someone does. Lots of people do that are buying and buying and buying. And I agree with you. Like, I think it's going to be a much different market for longer than maybe we expect.
Yeah.
And like TK, you know, as well as me, like, in our industry, we're more optimistic. And I think it's because we have the mix of like, yes, we see the numbers, but we're also having the conversations. It's not like my phone isn't ringing. It's just ringing for different reasons now, maybe than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And when I'm meeting with sellers now, because even though I know real estate agents are seen as the people that are propping up the market, I'm literally spending most of my day trying to convince people that their property is worth less than they think it is, so that we can actually be part of the 20% of the new inventory that sells
You're
every
on
month.
the listing side. Yeah. If
So
you're a
how many-
buyer agent, then you have to pump the market all day long. But if you're representing sellers mostly, you have to give people a dose of reality.
Well, so
That's
how
my conversation every day.
How
Yeah.
often with your team, TK, do people get like their price from the agent and then they just disappear? And is that
People just
happening more
not
now?
disappear. What they're getting is they're getting reality.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, well, I don't need to sell. I'm not in a
Right.
rush.
That
I don't think it's a
disappear.
good time. Well,
Yeah.
great. Back in 1990, when the market crashed, it took 5 years for us to hit the bottom. And then it was 12 years until 2002 before that price came back up to the peak of the 1989-90 market. So as long as you're willing to wait until another 12 years goes by, so if 2022 is the peak and the next one will be 2034, as long as you're okay to wait till 2034, hang on to your property. I'm not here to tell you to sell your property if you don't want to sell it. But if you're telling me you're going to be selling and next year it's going to be better based on nothing, based on you speculating that real estate only goes up, I'm here to tell you that next year could be much worse.
Yeah.
I
We had
actually
5
think
years of declines. The last
I
time
think
this
there's some
happened.
people that are going to sell now out of fear that shouldn't, because they could afford to keep it, and it's gonna then in the future stop them from being able to get back into what they had. I really
Mhm.
do think that. I don't know what price they're gonna do, but worst case scenario that we've seen is that 1989 example, right? We drop off for 5 years, then we have 5 to 7 years of slow growth to get up to that point again.
Mhm.
But is
Real
that
estate
gonna
prices
happen?
real estate prices have gone bananas, right? And just to sort of talk about some of the stuff that Darryl was talking about, the rate increases we've already had, like they take 12 to 18 months to come into effect. So we are just now seeing the effect of the 1% raise back in July 2022. We haven't even seen the impact of the rate. So I believe
comes up with
CPI
that
will start
bullshit?
to come down.
That's
And I
just
believe
another
that
story.
the economy will start to change and that we are going to start to see inflation get under control based on the rate hikes we've already got. I don't think we've got any more rate hikes in us, one or two maybe, but as far as a massive increase, there's no way they're going to lower rates, because if they lower rates, the differential between the current rate and the terminal rate is what brings down inflation. So right now we went from 0.25% to 5%, right? So this was this 4.75% increase, which has been able to fight the inflation that we've got right now. If we go back into like a high inflationary environment and we drop the overnight rate to like 4 or 3.5 or whatever, we might have to raise it another 5 points again in order to be able to fight inflation. And they know that. So there's no way they're going to lower rates. Not a chance. Anybody who's hoping that is dreaming. There's no way they can make that mistake, because it'll lead to a much worse scenario. And I think rates will be like this for a very long time. I think they're going to keep them here until the economy goes through a whole cycle where we can see the whole cycle go through, which is going to grow and then it's going to shrink. And we're going to get to the point where we go, okay, I think it's over now. It's the only way that they're going to beat inflation. But I definitely don't think that they need to, just because the CPI numbers are going to continue to fluctuate, I definitely don't think that raising rates is necessary. They've already raised them enough to the point that all the other terminal rates, if you look in history, all the time that the terminal rate ended up being the terminal rate, so they weren't raising it anymore, it was always higher than what the CPI number is. And we've already gotten to that point. Right?
Did they have, like, the last time that this data was mined, was there like a world war? Was there like a currency war?
We had everything.
Was
You had the Great
there
Recession. You had lots of
pandemics?
different data there.
It's all bullshit. It's all
Web,
bullshit.
the .com era, all that type of stuff is there. So there is lots of data there. And I think that it's a really strong point that is out there right now, is that rates they don't need to go up any further.
That's
right.
They don't need to go up any further.
No, the effect just hasn't happened yet. We're still another 12 months away before we see how much the economy, and we're already seeing cracks in the economy. There's tons of cracks in the economy. It's not just CPI. You look at jobs, look at all the other issues that we've got right now. There's tons of stuff that's going to be showing its ugly head over the next 12 months.
Who's feeling the pain right now? Right now, people with variable rates,
rate
people
holders,
with HELOCs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're the actual ones that are feeling the pain. And that's what we've talked about. And yes, we can go on the extended amortization rant, we can go, but we've done that before. So what I'm thinking now, and this is something I've talked to my team about, is like, we got to pick up our phones and call all of our clients and say, hey, just out of curiosity, how long do you have left on your fixed rate? Okay, what's your rate today? Okay, what's your payment? Okay, let's say rates don't change in the next 2 years. What's your payment going to be then? Let's run those numbers for you, just so it's not like a crazy shock. Do you think that's something that you can handle? Because that's going to be the thing. Like, there's a lot of people, all the people that were loving all this. And I ran polls on my channel, like asking people like who want to keep seeing rate increases, like what situation are you in? And it's usually people that are renting because they want the prices to come down, which I understand, or people that are not impacted by the rates raising because they have fixed rates for 3 more years at 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not the States. When those come up.
People think that rates or rents are going to come down when rates go down.
No. They're currently renting, but they want to buy. Like even people that want the market to drop for the most part, it's because they want it to be affordable for them.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Self-interest. The people right now too. So if you've got a fixed rate, and this is the other thing that, again, I'm in this camp, okay? I do believe that we've got more pain in the market. I do believe that prices will continue to fall for the short term, definitely. And so people who are going to be renewing their mortgages who bought, let's say it's 2013, 2014, so 2018, 2019, 5-year fixed mortgages, right? They're going to be going to their bank and they're going to say, I want to renew. Tom already brought this up. What's my new payment? 6%. Jesus, that's way too much. They had a 25-year mortgage. So now they only got 20 years left. They can go back up to a 25-year. They can go up to a 30-year. They've got options to control their payments. They're really not in that much trouble, you know, unless they took on second, third mortgages and all that kind of stuff. But most of those people are all variable rate holders, like, right? So
TK,
it's just these variable rate holders that I think are going to be
in your day-to-day right now. Do you feel like it's a market with a lot of pain in it? Like the conversations you're having with like you can start feeling that it's coming up.
For weeks he's been talking about it.
Both sides.
Weeks and weeks now.
Yeah. Now, there's other people who aren't. So I'm dealing with people too who are just like, and that's kind of the issue, right? It's why the volume is so low right now, is because you got a bunch of people who own their houses outright, no mortgages, fixed rate, small mortgage, okay, comfortable, no big deal. And they're just like, I don't need to sell. And I'm just going to hang on and see what happens.
I think what's happening and what is going to keep happening, and I think I said it before, but we're going to have a K-shaped recession. Okay. We're going to have people that are making tons of money. Okay. That have gone into a different field or into a different business that is booming right now because there's plenty of them. Okay. And then there's people that are just dropping off the earth and giving their keys and disappearing and going bankrupt. And like that's just going to keep widening. There's going to be like, because I don't know, don't you guys know people that are killing it right now? Just if not in real estate, right? Everybody in real estate's getting fucked, but there's people that are absolutely killing it and people that are absolutely getting hammered. Like in my group of friends, I have people that are going, I feel they're going from like up here to down here. And I know people that are going from like here to up here and people going from here definitely down to here. Like it's all over the place right now. And it's so like even you look retail commercial sales are up and vacancies are down and everybody's talking like, oh, retail is the place to be right now. You should look at some retail. And like, what happens if they do start closing restaurants again? They're saying it's all attributed to restaurants booming now and being so big. And I mean, you've been to a restaurant, they're pretty busy, right?
They are busy.
They're super busy. So fuck, can you imagine like all these people are like buying retail stores again and they're baking all these restaurants. And let's say Darryl's not crazy, just for argument's sake. Because
hold on, let me get there.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Will you allow it?
All right, I'm there now.
Load it up. Okay. And they do try and lock people down. Okay. And some people that own a business are told like, you better fucking close your doors, guys, because that's what they do, right? I mean, don't forget the trucker convoy. That was a forced closure. Okay. Like by serious force, okay? Like trampling women in wheelchairs with horses force. And so why is everybody so certain that they won't up the level of force when everybody starts going, yeah, fuck you, we're not wearing masks this time, you dumb fucks. Like, you really think we're going to fall for this shit again? What? You're going to go with your horse? You're going to fight back with your horse? No, but seriously, like, did you think that was a possibility last time? Did anybody guess that rates were going to go down to zero and real estate?
So what are you trying to say? You're saying that it's possible that there'll be another lockdown?
What the
Or
fuck,
did I miss
man?
the point?
Yeah, I guess you missed the. Yeah, no,
Okay.
you got the point. I think I'm being clear. There could be another lockdown. What are people
Yeah.
gonna do? What if that happens? Like, seriously,
Not what we did
everybody's
before.
I'll
Whatever it
get
was
my
before,
we'll
they're
get our
gonna ignore
CERB
it.
checks again.
gonna get
We'll
the
just
CERB
pump some more
checks.
money into the economy. We'll all be good, right?
Which is also going to happen again too. When this cycle finishes and we get to the point where things are really bad again, and then they start deciding to use quantitative easing again, those CERB checks are coming back.
No,
and
it's
it'll be called
UBI
something
now.
else. UBI
But haven't you seen, like, there's municipalities that are already voting
I know,
in UBI,
I know, but
right?
it's these are all
In
these are all the things
Ontario.
that are 100% going to come back again in the cycle. So
Hmm.
long-term real estate's a great investment, guys. Just let's end the show with long-term buying real estate's a great idea. If you're in it to be there for another 20, 30 years, you want to live in it, you want to touch it, you want to rent it, you want to visit it, you want to go in the country and you want to sit on your dock and look at owning real estate's a fantastic
It
investment.
feels
It's
so
never been
much
bad.
better now.
But if you're thinking about making an investment and making money in a year and flipping it over and having all these great
Don't think
ideas
about it.
and it's easy money and someone's promised you a great return, then take a second, go talk to a few people, watch some YouTube videos, figure out what, may or may not be so true about that particular situation, and take your time before you put your money into real estate. It's definitely not one of those type of investment vehicles. It never has been.
TK, we just went firm last week, bro. How can you say that to me?
And when do you plan on getting your money out?
No,
Next year?
I'm
The
just
year
joking.
before?
Listen, but there's
Right?
deals out there is really the point that I'm trying to make. Okay. Because there are people that are hurting out there and stupid. In our case, we got lucky. We found some dummies that own the best fucking piece of land on earth. But like, there are actually some deals out there if you get the right person at the right time. And there's lots of situations out there, right? I mean, we see prices, we see examples of people taking ginormous hits on some. We all ignore those and they get absorbed into the average price, but some people are taking like $500,000 hits or even more depending on the price.
What's
of
the biggest
thing,
one
right?
you've seen, Tom? Just anecdotally,
Oh, like bought and then sold at a much lower price,
or any type of stuff like that. Yeah.
honestly, in central Toronto and downtown, those numbers aren't as Twitter worthy as they would be in outer markets, right? So I'm not seeing a ton of that stuff. It's mostly that they bought in 2020 and they're selling the condo. I just had one, so I helped a guy sell his condo in Midtown Toronto. We ended up selling it for $640. It closed yesterday. He paid $686, not with me, in March of 2020.
Ouch. Yeah. So closing costs, fees, all that kind of stuff.
Fees, everything. He just
He's
took the
out.
loss and wanted to get out, right?
Yeah.
Or Darryl, in your world, are you going to be impacted by the new Chow like mansion tax, the 3 million plus, or is that just residential?
It's just residential.
Okay.
Well, it's
Commercial always gets
residential.
off
It's
the hook,
definitely gonna, in this building
they
in
need to-
particular, it's gonna hit us hard for sure. Not us, but the people who buy from us.
Yeah, because it's starting early next year.
Right.
Right.
For
Oh,
me,
good
I'm
point,
gonna
good point.
transfer.
on the unit side. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll transfer in 2 months or under 2 months, but they're going to transfer 4 years from now. And it will definitely be in that bracket where they have to take a hit. But the whole purpose of that tax is because they know that, like, it's not going to change anything for those people. Some people may make a different decision, but there'll be somebody right there to take it. Like,
But
it's
Darryl,
absorbable.
It'll
Like
be,
everything else.
What are your options?
Is
What are your
is $3
options?
million a lot of money today?
That's the fucking problem.
No,
and
but
that's
of
what I
course
keep
it
trying to
is.
get to.
It is.
$3
Of course
million
it is.
is not a lot of money
Okay, but
today.
to
It's a lot of
buyer
money
buying
for
a house
the
over
average
$3
price
million
home, average person in Toronto. Yes.
is
it
like
is.
less than 2% of the market. That's why no one had an issue with this.
Right. That's
Right. Just like when
exactly
we-
it. Who cares?
Just like when we brought in land transfer tax and the average price in Toronto was $522,000 and now it's 1.2 million. But that's not going away.
Which
So
the first time home buyer version of that needs to be amended.
it's ridiculous that that's the max. The 8,475 is the most you're getting off. But let's in 20 years from now, is $3 million expensive, or is that
Average
For a
average
house?
home price in central Toronto?
In 20
Above
years
average,
from
but
now,
but,
yeah.
but closer to average than it is today. Yeah. $2 million will be the average priced home, like all home types.
Yeah.
Average detached will be 3 million.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if we have a big dip in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and it's a
100%.
tough few years, eventually, if nothing changes really on the immigration side and interest rates stay under what, 8%, Because I think after that, there's a lot of issues that would sort themselves out.
You don't think as we approach 8 or even just stand pat that a lot of things are going to start coming out?
Yeah,
of the
but if
woodwork
they go double digit, it's
Oh my
real
God.
bad. It would be real bad.
Yeah, I would plan for
We're
it
not going
because
double digit.
listen,
Never going double digit ever again. We're never
don't
going to pay off these.
say
We're never
that.
going to pay off these debts. Look how much money the government owes. Look how much money we owe. We can't even handle 6%.
Well,
double
then we
digit.
better join BRICS, man, because if the United States wants to
BRICS
keep
is not
doing
going anywhere anytime soon, Darryl.
if the United States keeps doing what they're doing and keeps spending the way they're spending on things that have
Yeah.
nothing to do with their own country, okay, inflation will keep ripping. And when the US raises rates and Canada doesn't, guess what happens to Canada? Right? Our dollar goes to shit. And when our dollar goes to shit, guess what happens to Canada? Right? And so guess why we're going to fucking do whatever they do, because we have to. We don't have a choice. Or we got to join BRICS, because if you're stuck to the US dollar, how are you going to diverge from that?
Darryl,
We pause
BRICS,
and
BRICS is just a distraction. Okay. It took
aliens are a distraction.
It took decades
BRICS is
for
real.
the US dollar after
You
it took
see that
over as a
little weak
superpower.
alien? You guys
The-
nervous about aliens after seeing that little guy?
The guy in Mexico?
Yeah,
Which one?
nothing to be
Which
scared
one?
about that.
You don't know about the Mexican alien, Darryl?
No,
And
which
Tom and
one?
I do.
Which one? Is it the I heard something last
What?
night? No, I've been busy all week raising tons of money. Okay.
Oh my God. Well, let's end the show and we'll tell you all about it afterwards.
Oh,
Everyone else
my
knows about it.
God.
Hey, can I just say something, guys?
Yeah.
I am so proud of both of you
Oh my
because I mean this for real.
God. Ooh.
What you guys have done with this show, and you've been consistent and you've crushed it, and like you've grown so much. I remember early days, you would like really pester me, like, please come on the show. And now
Every
I'm
week.
like, when are these guys gonna call me back? You know, you guys are big time.
I'll even go in a skit for these
Let's book him in
idiots
again now.
Yeah.
2025. Tom.
Right?
I'll pretend to be a greasy realtor in a
Right?
skit.
I love
So
it.
I just want to say, like,
Thank you.
and you know this because I read your comments. You guys have such a loyal fan base. It's so cool. And I
Yeah.
don't know what changed there, but you guys one day just picked up and you've taken off. And I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
We
gotta
think just as highly of you as well. So
100%.
keep it up. We're all
Yeah.
working on this together.
I love
And we
it.
appreciate you coming on the show every 6 months.
I'll come whenever you want me.
Under contract.
Yeah.
Now you're on the cast, so you're gonna come.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's see how it, like,
need
you know, be
lawyer.
honest. If you feel like it's not your thing, then no problem. But if you're like, hey, that was fun and people enjoyed it and the feedback was good, then yeah, we're gonna be putting out skits every week.
Yeah,
I
because
think the
Saturday
skits
Night
is
Live
brilliant.
sucks balls. Good idea, right, Tom?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's such a good idea. Yeah.
We need to get our own Steve to start editing all of this stuff. Holy cow! No, you know what though?
It's a good
That's
idea.
the
Maybe we
most
could
fun.
have Steve help out a little bit too.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
can call it the Tom Storey Show
The
Skits
Tom
channel.
Story show skits. You know, just
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
awesome.
Thank you for
Thanks, guys.
being part of this.